Aviation Podcast is presented as entertainment, not flight instruction. Though some participants are certified flight instructors, their comments, opinions, and discussions of flying techniques are theirs alone. None of the co-hosts or guests on this podcast are acting as your flight instructor. Please consult your own CFI for guidance on your specific flight training, aeronautical knowledge, and aircraft operation. This is the Stuck Mic AvCast, an aviation podcast about learning to fly, living to fly, and loving to fly.
Welcome to the deck here, Sun and Fun Radio. This is the Stuck Mic AvCast live at Sun and Fun 2025, and this is so exciting to be here. I'm here with my co-host, Tom Frick. We also have Bill English and James Spearman, along with a bunch of other guests that we're going to have on here. We thank so much to Sun and Fun Radio for letting us do this as a live broadcast. And also, if you get a chance, listen to it again on the Stuck Mic AvCast, stuckmicavcast.com. This has been a wonderful show. It's a terrific day to be out here. A big shout out to all the sponsors out there, and especially all the volunteers that are out here today. Also want a big shout out to my crew here, Matt Len, my wife, also has been helping out, Tracy Len, and also everybody else that's been behind the scenes. It's going to be a nice and exciting podcast because of the fact that we're going to focus on the volunteers and what they do here today. Speaking of which, some of the folks have been out here doing work for many years and doing all sorts of jobs. And one of those is Tom Frick. Tom Frick is one of our co-hosts, which is actually somebody who has done carpentry work, live on the radio. Also, he's done work in the engineering department and probably a bunch of other hats. The man of all hats is editing.
I think I've done just about every job in this place.
Absolutely. Tom, tell us a little bit about volunteering and why you like volunteering and why it's so important to have volunteers at Sun and Fun and also Sun and Fun Radio.
Well, the biggest thing, I think, it was just the networking value of it, but that's how it started. And you're the one that got me into this, by the way.
It's my fault.
Yeah, you were the one that introduced me to Dave Schalbetter, and, you know, I came out and put my hand out and said, what do you need help with? And, you know, he looked at me and says, we're putting a new deck on. I could use some guy on a post hole digger. And that's where I started, digging holes on the side of the building over here. And then one thing led to another, and it's like my media background got me into a place to where, you know, I was familiar with some of the editing techniques and stuff like that. So as they revamped the engineering part of the radio station here, I helped with that and different pieces. And it's just one of those things. And it's the idea of giving back, right? You know, so it's like I've always been a big proponent of paying it forward and doing something to give back to the neighborhood. So the neighborhood that I'm in now is aviation. You know, so whenever I can, I try to give back because, you know, there was people that helped me along. They were paying it forward, and there was things that benefited me. And now I want to do the same thing. And I encourage other people to do the same.
You know, Tom, there's about 40 employees here at Sun and Fun at ACE, Aerospace Center for Excellence, but it takes about 3,000 volunteers every year to make this move forward, and a big shout-out to those people. And if you're watching this right now live, either it's on YouTube or liveatc.net/SNF, just remember that all this equipment has been donated by sponsors, and also all this equipment was put in here and made available by those volunteers. There's some really talented folks that are here.
Absolutely. And I've done, like I said, I've done a bunch of different things, like the engineering part of it where there's like a whole bunch of stuff you got to think about. But I also painted this desk that we're sitting at right now. Yeah, we decided to put it on and put this thing together. And Dave one day shows up with a paintbrush and a can of paint and says, can you do it? I went, sure, I'll do it. So there's really no upper or bottom limit of, you know, what you can be willing to do.
If you're listening or watching, there's a great place to go to find out if you can come and volunteer and what jobs are involved, and that's flysnf.org, flysnf.org. If it's anything, like, say, you know, another language like German, like Tom knows, you can go to the international tent and help people check in there. If you know Italian like my wife, whatever it may be, you can help out. If you can think of it, there's a volunteer position for you, and some of the best ones are the Raiders.
Yes, absolutely. And God bless the Raiders, man. Those guys are awesome.
For those that don't know what the Raiders are, they keep this whole place clean,
yep.
and they get the most amazing campsites. I have a friend that actually asked him if he would come on and help out with the radio station, and he said, no way. I get the best camping site because I'm with the Raiders.
Right.
So if you take out the trash, you're going to get the best
Paradox
campsite.
volunteerism.
Yeah.
You know, you're taking out the trash, but you get the best campsite in the place. Yeah, it's a great deal.
Absolutely. Well, Tom, I appreciate all you do, especially with the Stuck Mike AvCast, and real inspirational.
I appreciate it,
but
Carl.
and just in what you've done with your career. I mean, as a matter of fact, for those that don't know, Tom is actually a professional pilot, flies a Learjet.
Lear 55.
Lear
yep.
55, and actually it was right before the show you flew down to, what was it, Palm Beach or
Yeah,
something?
I got stuck in Palm Beach in some weather and then came home. I got 3 hours of sleep before I got on the microphone the next morning.
Have you ever flown into here, into the Sun and Fun?
Into the Sun and Fun? No. Haven't done it yet. I
Yeah.
haven't done this one. Haven't done Oshkosh. The 2 experiences that I think I'm leaving for a later date.
Yeah, I've actually flown in Oshkosh, but not on purpose. It was actually to get around some weather, and I was actually in an airliner. It just happened to be there was an air show going on. They had to stop the show because of the weather, but never actually flown in to this air show. Now,
Yeah, with
I
all
think
the time teaching and spending, you end up with 6 in the pattern. It seems like a beehive. And then when I hear what people describe the Lake Parker approach here, sometimes it's like, I don't know.
Yeah,
I might
absolutely.
try it someday.
Actually, what's kind of cool is the fact that you don't have to just fly into here at Sun and Fun. There's a lot of other airports, and James actually did that. You flew into Sun and Fun, but you parked at another airport. Tell us a little bit about that and what airplane you brought in.
Yeah, I flew a Piper Meridian in, and I flew it to Tampa. I've flown into Sun and Fun, which I think if you're a pilot, it should be on your bucket list.
Oh, wow.
You should try to do it, to fly into Sun and Fun. The
That's
trick,
cool.
the best way to do it is if you can have a friend that has a Warbird. If you've got a T-34, that's the trick,
ultimate.
because it's pretty much the Warbird arrival is just pretty much a straight in. So that's you get the experience, but it's not as crazy as trying to arrive with everyone else.
So you actually got to fly in Warbird in here.
I did. I
Yeah.
flew a T-34, one that I work on, manage back home. So that was fun. Actually, me and Cassidy, my wife, flew it in 2 years ago, I think it was.
Yeah. And thanks for Cassie for putting up with everything here. She's doing some photos here, and she loves aviation too, just in a different sense.
Yeah, and she loves to be, she's very supportive, and she loves to be a passenger. That's like, she's got a very clear role. She loves to, handle being the passenger. And then, I'll ask her, hey, you want to learn how to fly? And she's like, no, that's your job. You fly. I'm the passenger.
Yeah, and that's good. And she helps out with the business. And for
That's
those
right.
that don't know, James actually has a maintenance business, a maintenance shop, and does some managing of aircraft too, I think.
Yeah, we're a 145 repair station, Garmin avionics dealership, and manage aircraft. We do some flight training, and then it's just somehow I figured out a way to make my entire living off of being around airplanes in GA and in the military.
Absolutely. And it's in Sevierville, Tennessee. Notice how I could say that now finally.
Good job.
And yes, thank you. And actually, another thing I want to do is a shout out. If you haven't listened to the episode, really, you have a military career, and just recently was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross. Which not too many people can say that they've gotten that, and that was for something that you did during an operation. I guess we can talk about that. So hats off to you, and thanks so much for your service.
Definitely. Thank you. It means a lot. I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Other people that have flown into Warbirds are actually Bill English, who at one time came in with, I guess it was Cessna?
Yeah, that was 2 years ago
2
also.
years ago.
Yeah, brought in an 02. Didn't do the Warbird arrival, though. We did Lake Parker, held, spun over the lake. So, yeah, I've been in here a number of times. So with the 02, yeah, I know you felt it. You may be cool, but you aren't arriving at Sun and Fun in a Warbird cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's totally different.
Yeah.
It's way better.
It really is. And, we came in this year in a vintage aircraft, technically also a Warbird, Howard DGA, which was an air ambulance in World War II. So you come in into vintage with that this year.
And you did the whole tailwheel experience here.
So that's what I focused on here, right? I'm doing a lot of that. My own 170B. I'm doing some getting into STOL competition this year and doing some instruction in tailwheels and just the tailwheel lifestyle, restoring some antique tailwheels as well. So we'll have some bits on the show this week from a lot of the tailwheel-focused forums that are here in training, aerobatics, and just in doing something a little bit more with your flying. You know, maybe get into that tail wheel, get into a little bit of, doesn't have to be hardcore backcountry, but something a little different, more than just that $100 hamburger, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the Tailwheel experience, let's go over that. The STOL competition is right here, and I don't know if we want to announce anything else. That's actually really, really cool. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, STOL is one of the more, probably the fastest growing segment of the industry, the air shows, that's really dragging a lot of people in. So what is STOL? What's that mean for people who don't know what we're talking about? So STOL is STOL, stands for short takeoff and landing. So this came out of the Alaska and the backcountry bush pilots who had to get into little sandbars and gravel strips to get hunters in and out, things like that. And when they weren't doing that, they decided, hey, you know what? I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. And turned it into a sport, because that's what we do. So these guys take, it started with the bush planes, Super Cubs, 170s, things like that. We've now got classes of experimental aircraft that are made specifically for STOL competition. So you'll see some unbelievable, incredible flying here. Way deep on the backside of the power curve, 200-foot, sometimes less landings and takeoffs. They're did a demonstration last night, Tuesday night, began Thursday night and Friday night here over at Paradise City. There's also the Bushwheel Base Camp over towards the island, a little bit on the eastern side of the field, where you can see a lot of these spectacular airplanes, meet some of the guys that do this. Some of your, if you've seen them on YouTube, some of those people you've seen doing these demos on YouTube, they're there, friendliest bunch around. They'll tell you all about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And they are friendly. I think it's really cool. We have all these different spectrums, that's for sure. And you're going to be possibly competing in the near future, possibly?
We'll see what happens in Virginia in May, right? Sasquatch is ready, so we're going to go try that.
Can I ask you why you name your airplanes?
Why?
Yeah,
well,
it's just something to do.
Yeah, it's something to do.
Absolutely.
It's like, boats need a name, airplanes
Yes,
need a
they
name.
absolutely do need names. That's for sure. That's for sure. Someone who really has been bringing us aviation goodness, both here at Sun and Fun Radio, and someone who's flown a lot of different aircraft has actually just joined us, and Dave Pasco with Live ATC. And one of the things that I think is wonderful is what Dave's done for GA and in aviation in general, and so much that he's given back to this Sun and Fun Radio by streaming liveatc.net/SNF if you want to hear this right here. But tell us, Dave, welcome first of all to the show. It's wonderful to always have you on, because not only are you a great voice, but you're a great advocate for general aviation.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, Dave, tell us, for those that don't know what liveatc.net is, tell us a little bit about that, and also why.
So Live ATC is basically, the simplest explanation is it's a giant ear listening to pilots talking on the radio, whether it be to towers, to other, air traffic controllers, or on a common traffic advisory frequency. And we stream that all over the world, and we record all of those conversations. That's what it is in a nutshell.
So if somebody is going to look at this for educational purposes, I think this is a great resource. And what would you recommend someone doing?
It's used very heavily by flight instructors and their students. I've worked with a lot of flight instructors, and a lot of them like to say, well, you could teach anybody, almost anybody, how to fly an airplane. But the radio communication part of it, they teach them a little bit. And then, they're kind of like on their own. There's a lot of structured educational materials out there. What we are is really the sort of where the rubber meets the road. You can listen to pretty much, a lot of airports. We don't have every single one out there. But it's fast growing. We've got like 4,000 channels. So if you can't find something that you want to listen to in 4,000 channels, you're not trying very hard. But what they do is they basically say, okay, we had this flight, we did some radio communications, go back, pull the recordings down, and go listen to yourself. And what it does is it really helps when you're not in the hot seat. It's a lot easier to sort of focus on what you did wrong, what you did right, and how to get better by listening to some of the other pilots, professional pilots, really good GA pilots on the frequency, and you learn things from that.
So the other part of this, too, is that you can use it, say, professionally, or even protecting yourself from...
That's right, yeah. We have a lot of people who, had to call a phone number.
Right.
And they use the recordings sometimes in their defense. It's very difficult to get them from the FAA. But people should know that you can get those communications through a Freedom of Information Act or a FOIA request. but you've got to do it quickly. You've got to do it usually within 30 days. If you don't do that, you got to get them from Live ATC. And we go back a year, but now we're extending that to 5 years as of January 1st. We're starting to accumulate into the second year. So it's quite a bit of data. It's like a needle in a haystack, but it's very useful.
Absolutely. I've used the services. I mean, it's been great for me. I've had to go back and find out what they told me in that recording, and it saved my butt a few times. So
Good.
And also the airlines use them, and that's a big part of your business, isn't it?
Yeah, the airlines use them. I mean, we do a variety of things. It's not just, there's a lot more than what you see out on the public network and the app and on the website. We were involved in private streaming systems that are pretty large scale for big airports, and that's more like a B2B service. So that's a big part of what we do. And that's also what helps fund our ability to get equipment out there so we can get more airports on.
So if someone says, I don't hear my airport, how do I get something out there?
They just contact us. We have a contact form on the website, and we work with them one-on-one to kind of see, maybe they have some equipment sitting on a shelf or in a closet. And if they don't, we hook them up with equipment or sell them equipment if they want to own that hardware. But we do a lot of long-term loaning of equipment.
Yeah, so what kind of commitment is it on that person's end, like power, et cetera?
It's very low power. It's less than a light bulb. It's even less power than an LED light bulb. Very tiny amount of network bandwidth, so they just need to plug into the network or connect to their Wi-Fi, put an antenna outside, and away we go. Very small footprint, like a square foot. Very small. Low power, very low impact.
A lot of going back to the whole educational part of this, and people like flying overseas and they want to learn how to do position reports, etc. You do have that ability, I'm assuming, to be able to play back some of those frequencies, HF. We
do, yeah. That's kind of a dying part of oceanic flying, because a lot of it, as you know, you do it. It's moving to satellite and CPDLC, which is a data link communication link between pilots and controllers. But we do have a number of shortwave frequencies, an increasing number of them. They run out of my house, actually.
Oh, wow.
So there's a very special antenna in the woods that picks up all that stuff. I'm on the East Coast. I'm in New Hampshire. But we have all the Atlantic, oceanic, between here and Europe, and then we have down in the waters area, the Caribbean stuff.
Yeah.
Getting the stuff on the West Coast is a lot harder because it's so much further away. But so we're looking for somebody on the West Coast to kind of fill in the Pacific area, which has a lot of stuff on its own. Very interesting stuff out there. So
if you're listening, you're on the West Coast, please, liveatc.net. Contact them, contact Dave. Maybe they can set something up. That's for sure. Yeah. It's interesting what you said. It's kind of dying out there, but it's still used. It's and people that are into ham radio. That's still something that's important, especially during disasters. And we had a satellite outage not long ago, and all of us that were over the Atlantic at that time, everything failed. All the data failed, so we had to go back to HF, which is a real pain. But it's still something that we need to use, and I think the military still uses HF all the time, right?
No, we still we have CPDLC, but oftentimes in the tanker it's out, and so we end up having to use HF the whole way across the pond. So
it's so much fun listening to people make all those mistakes because they haven't done an HF call in so long,
Yeah, I try to chair fly that, and I'll have it like written down on an e-board of exactly what to say.
Absolutely,
be ready to go for it.
Dave, you're also a general aviation pilot, pretty active, and I think in the Bonanza Society. Tell us a little bit about your GA flying.
Yeah, so I was actually part of the genesis of Live ATC way back in the beginning. I got my private certificate in 2001, and then the following year did my instrument. And when I was doing my instrument, I wanted to hear some receivers that were in Boston, and I was like 50 miles away, so I was too far away to hear the controllers. I could hear all the airplanes, and I'm trying to learn what I'm doing on the radio, so my brother let me put some receivers at his house, and that essentially became the beginning of Live ATC. But I'm in a club called the New Hampshire Flying Association, and it's just great. We have an A36, I should say had an A36. It had an incident recently.
Oops.
I wasn't the pilot, but we also have an Archer too, and we're based out of Nashua, New Hampshire. So yeah, I've got about 1,200 hours as a GA pilot, variety of flying conditions, really mix it up. But a lot of point A to point B flying for me, because I use it actually in my work and for family. So, but it's been great. I never, for a minute thought I would ever be a pilot. I used to watch airplanes as a kid, riding my bike down to the airport and sort of looking over the fence. But it was kind of a faraway thing. It wasn't really something that I ever thought. And then in my late 30s, it just, it took the leap, and it's been great. The whole community, listening to what Tom said before, this whole community, the people that I meet through the website, through flying, hanging out at airports, I don't know what I would, it's one of those things, including my ham radio hobby and the community around that, which also is kind of part of the whole live ATC thing, because there's a big connection there. I sometimes wonder what life would be like without that sort of second family, and it's a huge for me. It's very big. So
what pushed you over the edge to finally get your license?
Had a girlfriend who ended up getting her private pilot certificate, and I said, and we had broken up, a few years before that, and I went on a ride when she was doing her instrument practicing, and I sat in the back, and she got her instrument, and I said, you know what, I could do this too. So it was sort of a little bit of a competitive thing, but it was something that actually opened my eyes as to, I don't know that I would have done it, and it wasn't to compete with her. It was just that it was the opportunity, and this goes back to taking kids for rides, which I've done a little bit with. It's just that one introduction to whatever the topic is, whether it be flying or math for budding engineers or scientists. It's one thing sometimes that sets somebody on a whole career path. And so that, to me, that's huge. That's really important, and we need a lot more of that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what's amazing about, aviation is there's people like you that come out here that are really inspiring young people, but also really involved in technology. And then there's the Tailwheels, and then there's TJ. And TJ actually is somebody who flies a really slick, modern aircraft, and that's a Cirrus aircraft. Welcome, TJ, to the deck. Yeah, it's wonderful to have you on. It's so one of the things that's really neat is the fact that there's the Cirrus Pilots and Owners Association, Cirrus Owners and Pilots Association, and that organization is like what you just said. It's an incredible community. And joining us today is actually the president of that community. It's TJ Shembekard. Hey, TJ, how's it going?
Hi, Carl. Great to see you again.
It's great to see you. I think I saw your airplane yesterday.
Probably.
But it wasn't flying. It's AOG, I'm thinking.
No,
it's back?
It is back in the air, cool. And I have the next adventure starts next week.
Awesome. So, TJ, first, before we talk about that adventure, I want to hear about that. Tell us a little bit about your background in aviation and what you're doing now.
Yeah, so I started flying later in life. A lot of people start out right when they're out of school or when they're kids. Like Dave and many others, I didn't start till I was in my late 30s. And I woke up on my birthday. I'd always wanted to fly my whole life. When I was in college, I didn't have the money. Later, when I had the money, I didn't have the time. And then life and family and stuff just happens. But for me, I was 38 years old. I woke up on my birthday and I said, if I'm ever going to do this, now is the time. And so that day, I found an instructor, and turns out he was a kid compared to me. He was 19 years old, but he was a avid pilot, totally passionate. And the best part about it is he was poor, smart, and hungry, and he was willing to give me flight lessons at all kinds of crazy hours. So I took lessons from him at 5 in the morning, 10 o'clock at night, and somehow managed to finish and got my private pilot's license. And I was flying just as a regular GA pilot. I got my commercial, I got my instrument, and then over the years, I just loved it, started going to new places. And now I've flown in all 50 states and 18 countries now. And after I recently retired a couple years ago, I decided I wanted to get more into aviation. So I got my CFI and CFII recently. And now I feel like my mission in life is to help shape the future of aviation, get new pilots into the system, and help the existing pilots to be better and safer pilots.
Yeah, great for you. And by the way, congratulations on all that you have done as far as CFI II. I've been watching you, and that's terrific. Also, another neat thing is TJ and I went flying together once.
That's right.
It was actually in an Airbus, and TJ got to actually take off and land. You can see that where?
You can see it on TJ Flying Adventures. There's a YouTube channel out there that's got a video about it. Carl was gracious enough to guide me through the the JetBlue Airbus simulator at JetBlue University in Orlando, and that was an amazing experience. It astounded me how realistic that sim was. As we're taxiing, you can feel the gravel bumps as you're moving in the simulator. It's that realistic. It's impressive.
Well, and you did a great job, by the way. It helped that you were a pilot. You had some friends there. It was neat. There was a couple generations there, which I thought was awesome. We only have a minute left, but TJ, so what's next? What's the next adventure?
Really, I'm working with COPA our mission is basically to make better, safer pilots. We work closely with Cirrus. We hold a whole bunch of safety programs. That is my mission as far as COPA. And for me personally, I'm going to keep racking up new countries. In June, I'm going to be doing my first Atlantic crossing and hit probably 5 or 6 new countries along the way. And so looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'd be a little bit afraid to do that, but I know you're going to do a lot of briefing beforehand, do a lot of learning.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because TJ's that way. I tell you. TJ, thanks again for all you do. Where can they find you on the internet? Copa.org?
CirrusPilots.org is the COPA website, and TJ Flying Adventures on YouTube.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming. I really appreciate your stopping by.
Thanks.
TJ is a very inspirational person. You're listening to Stuck Mike AvCast here live on Sun and Fun Radio. This is Sun and Fun 2025. We're going to go to a commercial break, but don't forget to come back. We have another half hour of the Stuck Mike AvCast on Sun and Fun Live. Let's go to a break. This episode is sponsored by the law offices of Robert M. Strumer, LLC. You can find them at strumerlaw.com. Robert M. Strumer, LLC handles various aviation matters, including FAA safety investigations and pilot medical certifications. You can find him on the web at www.strumerlaw.com. Again, thanks for helping us here and sponsoring us here at Sun and Fun 2025. And a big shout out to our sponsor, Strumer Law. Find them again on the internet, www.strumerlaw.com. Welcome back to the deck here at Sun and Fun 2025 live. Chats from the deck. I'm here with the Stuck Mike AvCast. My name is Carl Valeri. My co-host is here, James Spearman, and we are having so much fun here at Sun and Fun 2025. Weather's been terrific. We've talked a little bit about flying in here, technology, and also aircraft that fly with the wheels touching the ground in the back, and also some technology with brand new aircraft. Bringing it to the fore, though, James, we talked a little bit about your background as being a mechanic, etc. There's some really cool things that are going on here from the maintenance side, some innovations, but also some innovations in aircraft. So, and I know you've been wandering around. Tell us a little bit about what you've seen and what's impressed you from a maintenance perspective.
Yeah, that really my goal when I come to Sun and Fun and Oshkosh is to get intel for my customers back home. You know, just roam around and see if I can find cool stuff that they might be interested in. That's how I came across Electroair and built a relationship with them. How I came across Permaguard, Garmin, all of these relationships that I've now become dealers for have been from Sun and Fun and Oshkosh over the years, just building up relationships. Avidyne is another one. But this year is really special. Just new aircraft that are out. They've got an M700 Fury sitting there, which is really neat. 300-knot Piper Meridian, essentially. Beechcraft has their clean sheet design, the Denali. You can get your first look at it, which is really awesome. And it's sitting out there. I've just been seeing it in Flying Magazine and different stuff online. Really cool. The Epic 1000 AX has actually been, we've all known that auto throttle and auto land is coming, but they've been making people sign disclaimers. Hey, don't tell anyone that this is, but they finally released it and unveiled it here at Sun and Fun, which is really cool.
That's awesome.
Another one that it really was cool, I've been trying to work with, you see them a lot in the Cirrus community, the sunshades in the windows, jet shades, aircraft sunshades. It's really neat. I was able to connect with them this year, and it's something that can go in your window, and it's not very difficult to install, and it actually I always thought it was just like tint in the window, which like kind of keeps the sun off your face, but it actually reduces heat in the cockpit, which is cool, and I learned something new. So I'm going to take that back home and try to pitch that to my customers on the way back. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything that can block the sun and keep it cooler in the cockpit, I think, is really important, especially in a Cirrus and any aircraft, really. How do they do that? I mean, as far as the technology, what's the difference between them and others?
Yeah, it's pure magic. Yeah, all magic.
Yeah, that's how they sell it. It's pure magic.
Yeah, just like all the other stuff we see out here.
How about other? There's a lot of people out here that have different appliances and also services for maintenance. Anything else you've seen out here, like any type of products that have really impressed you, or stuff that's been here for a while?
Oh, the best one is go by the Garmin, Garmin booth, and it's a great opportunity because people are doing upgrades at all levels of aircraft, a 152 all the way up to a Citation. So they'll be thinking about upgrading their avionics, and it's a great way to go there and just kind of touchy-feely on, see if you actually like it and see it in person, and talk to the representatives that are there. All of their regional sales directors are right there, and you can talk to them, and they'll put you in touch with the closest installer near you, and you can play and see what it because it's kind of have to envision what you want your aircraft to look like, and so it just gives you a lot of options. It's really cool. That's what I would recommend is, number one, go to Garmin and play with their avionics.
Another booth I think I caught you playing with something was over there with the best tugs.
Oh, yeah. So I've always, kind of grown up watching Mike and Mark Patey's YouTube channels and just seeing what they do all along. And it's incredible. So Mark Patey owns Best Tugs, right? And I have a Bravo 8 Best Tug in my shop, and we use it literally every day. I'll give him a customer review here for free over the radio, but I really believe in the product. I don't get anything from him, but I've had mine for 5 years. It actually got an airplane crashed into it, and it kept going.
Wow.
We still have it, and we've just replaced the batteries every so often, and it works great. We use it on all levels of aircraft. We've got the little bit bigger one because we might see a Meridian or a 414 or a 421, something like that, as well as your Cirruses.
He's really jumped into the market and has come up with a very amazing, innovative, and durable product.
I think it's cool that, and this is why I love coming to Sun and Fun, is because you can actually see the people behind the product.
Yes.
And Mark is one of those guys that he's standing there shaking people's hands, taking photos, and standing behind his product. Which is just kind of cool.
He had a big
Cool
grin
to me.
on his face, and he had one when he was sitting there in front of Mark. He was like, man, I can't believe I'm talking to him right here.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
watching him all the time on YouTube, et cetera. And that is the cool thing, is we make these connections. And I'm sure you've seen people, hey, I hear you on Stuck Mike. I hear you on your podcast, that type of thing.
Yeah, right when I met you, I was like, bam, oh, man, this is Carl.
Yeah. It was kind of wild. And now it's like, oh, darn, Carl's here again. But, hey, James, where can they find you online as far as that business that you have in Sevierville one more time?
Yeah, www.spearmanaircraft.com. If you're looking for any sort of upgrades or maintenance or inspections, I'd love to help you with your aircraft, or just as a well-rounded resource if you're looking to purchase an aircraft too. So, Carl, what are you doing out here?
Well, for me, first of all, this is the year I'm going to have some fun. I get to Sun and Fun, and a lot of times I don't have that whole fun factor. Although this is wonderful, but I never get to see an air show, and I never get to see airplanes, and I never get to see products and services. So I made up my mind this year, because last year I had a booth, that I'm going to get the help from other people like Matt and Tracy Lynn and from yourself and everybody else, so that I can go out and actually have that fun. And I've actually been wandering around. So first of all, we all come here with different ideas and different things that we want to accomplish. The one thing I wanted to accomplish is to find a new headset for work and also for the general aviation aircraft. And I'm to be honest with you, I'm a little more confused. It sounds strange, but there's so much here, and now I come out here thinking I'm going to buy a certain headset, and now I'm like, well, no, I think I want something else. And you know what I did? I wound up sticking with what I have for now, because now I need more time to figure that out. But more importantly, I want to connect with the people that are the listeners on, Aviation Careers Podcast and also Stuck Mike AvCast. And Aviation Careers Podcast, we do have a booth. We don't have a separate one for Stuck Mike. Of course, we come here and have people volunteer at the radio station. But we find that it's good to kind of press the flesh and talk to people. Like you just said, people come up to me and says, oh, my God, I can't believe it's you that I'm talking to. And now that we've shifted to video, people actually will point me out and say, hey, there's Carl. Before, at all the other shows, they usually recognize me when they walked by me and passed me. And they say, wait a minute, I know that voice. That's Carl. And they'll come back and say hi. Now I don't have that. Now they come right up to me. And the thing that's been terrific is that I can explain to people one-on-one what we're doing. Now with Aviation Careers Podcast, it's a free podcast. It's an inspirational informational type podcast, and it's very transparent. I talk about my life, but we also have people come on and talk about their careers and what they've done. And we give advice. And the other part that we've gone into is actually career coaching. I've been doing that for a long time. But we do just both like one-on-one coaching. And we started this thing last year, if you remember, at Sun and Fun, Matt, and he's shaking his head yes. And we actually started the group coaching, and that's a group coaching and mentorship sessions that we have usually once or twice a month. And Matt Len helps out produce that. And that is something where we can all get together and we can talk about what we're doing in our careers. So first, we have some type of inspirational topic. I try to celebrate people's wins, when they get their ratings and things like that. And then the next thing we do is we go into an industry update, because that's all I do all day is I listen to, people doing industry updates, and also I go to all the different, any kind of industry conference I'll go to. Whenever a CEO is speaking, I go out there and I either have it recorded or watch it. And then I try to give people insight into what's happening in the higher environment. So that's part of what we do there. But most importantly, we teach things. We have questions and answers during that session, during those coaching and mentorship sessions. It's really inexpensive. It's only $20 a month. And they can come and go as they please and say they get what they need out of it. And what's been really cool is the last one I did was about career fairs and how to be successful at a career fair. And here at Sun and Fun, they have this great career fair. The Innovation, Future of Flight, actually over here, Innovation Showcase, and the Career Fair tent. And if you're looking for an employer or you're looking to talk to an employer, you can actually go there and talk to the airlines. The airlines are actually all throughout here, but they're focused over there. And I have to say, some people took the advice, and they actually came up to me with their resumes and their cover letters, and they had me review that. And they also were dressed properly and got a chance to talk to some of these people. Some of the success stories, I had a person come out here, talk to one of the airlines, and said, hey, can you come back for an interview? They did, and they got the job. And that is probably the biggest success story, and that's actually happens over and over and over again. The other thing, too, that's been cool is the ability to introduce my scholarships directory, which was the one thing that really got me started, the first product we sold. And that actually is, it's a product that's only $10 for 1 year access, and we update it every month. And we have over $120 million of scholarships in that directory. So that's the three things that we do. But honestly, the best part is seeing people and inspiring people to get into this as a career. Just reaching out, pressing the flesh, and saying hi, and saying, yeah, hey, if you want a career in aviation, you can do it. If you're finding yourself stuck, what do I need to do next? And they can actually talk to me and say, hey, this is what I think you should do next. So that's been really cool. So that's what I'm up to.
It's really great what you're doing. And everyone kind of needs a mentor getting into the aviation field. It's not really, and there's very limited opportunities, and there's people out there willing to like yourself to help them get on the right path to where they want to go, either be a mechanic or a pilot.
Right.
But there's all this community. There's so many people that'll put their arm around you and say, hey, we're offering you help to this is the path that you can get to what you want to be in aviation. And you kind of need that. You really need it.
Absolutely. We need to get people like you on and say, when someone says, hey, I can't make money as a mechanic, and say, no, you can. You can have a living as a mechanic. Here's a guy, James Spearman. He's doing it.
Yeah, and I do want to give one plug. In that Aviation Careers tent, one of my I used to work with him, Trevor Hawk. He runs Cirrus Aircraft's AOG service for their jets. He's actually looking for AMPIAs to help them go out and keep these jets in the air and flying. So giving him a plug and out that way.
Absolutely. And I tell you, I give a plug to everybody out there, but that's terrific. Cirrus is awesome, I tell you that. And one of the things I love about them is they're always promoting the next generation of flight. That's for sure. Also, somebody else who's doing that and who's just started another podcast is joining us today, and that's Sean Starker with the Future in Flight podcast. Hey, how's it going, Sean?
That's it. It is going incredibly well, Carl. I'm here sharing some airtime with the legendary Carl Valeri from the deck at Sun and Fun Radio. That's pretty good. Doesn't get much better than this.
Well, I am so glad. It's an honor to have you here, and I think what you're doing is terrific. And we're talking about moving the needle forward and actually inspiring the next generation. of aviators, and you're starting at a level where they're just getting interested, and I think that's really cool. Tell us a little bit about that Future in Flight podcast, and why are you doing it? How did it come about?
Well, that's a great question, and part of it was inspired by your show. I'm an avid listener of the Aviation Careers podcast, and I think what you do is incredible. So aviation, obviously, we need to keep the cycle going. There is a place for everybody. We are for the budding aviation enthusiast and the aviation professional. So we have on people who are both in both worlds. We have on photographers, or we have on some social media specialists as well. And then we have on some just people who like to go to air shows, talk about how they were inspired, and really try to capture as much of that in the 14 to 24-year-old range as we can. And we do that weekly. It's been great so far. We've had such a fun time doing it.
This is actually something that was or is being sponsored by another group that does a really great job, has this amazing publication, and that's Aviation, right?
I'm so thrilled to be with Aviation.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Aviation. Jacob Peed, who's the publisher of that, has a long history of publishing, but that magazine is outstanding. In my view, it's one of the best out there, and the reason being is it's very appealing to my senses of eye, and now he's trying to appeal to the senses of ear through this podcast, and I think that's terrific. Some of the articles they have in there are things like the Aero Club here and how people got started within that range of young people getting started. And I think it's really important to figure out how people actually get inspired as aviators. So a lot of times I have, those people that were 50 years old coming on and saying that, yeah, I went to the airlines and I was inspired by actually flying little model airplanes or in a simulator even. We're still hearing that, aren't we?
We are. It seems to be a universal theme that what worked 20, 30, 40 years ago, what 40 years ago, what makes that kid look up in the sky and have wonder is the same thing. It might have a little bit different coat of paint or what have you, but it is that same wonder. And aviation, as you know, is just full of dreamers and doers. Jacob Peed being one of them. That guy is amazing. And when he came to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about starting a podcast, and I'm wondering if you might join us, the only answer was yes. When can we do this? So being able to reach a segment of people, of those dreamers and doers, with Jacob is really beyond belief. It's magic. It is the magic in aviation.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I forget, where can we find your podcast?
We are on all major on-demand audio platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We're on, let's see, I think
YouTube.
Yeah, we're on YouTube. Yep. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for the assist there. Gosh, we're in so many places. We're trying to get out there and make ourselves available. We also have a website, futureinflight.com, where you can find all of our episodes archived.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing too, the Aviation, where can they find that? It's Aviation.
That's aviationusa.com.
Okay,
yep.
And it's hard to miss because they advertise all over the place here. And some of the really cool articles, I don't know if you've seen them, James, but are some of these young people that have written these articles, and I'm like, wow, this is pretty impressive. Maybe this person's going to writing magazines articles for the rest of their life because it is what always is shocking is to have some 14-year-old walk up to you and incredibly accurately articulate what they're doing in aviation. And I'm sitting there learning, and what it does for me is I tell people this, it inspires me, because it makes me feel good about the next generation of people coming about in the aviation community and just in the world in general, because we sometimes hear a lot of negativity. You're not going to hear that here. You're not going to hear that in Aviation and not in Future in Flight podcast either. And just going back to that, the actual magazine itself, a lot of times you can find distributed all throughout and also online.
Oh, there's a great copy online. There's a great vivid digital copy, and then you might find the copies in your local FBO. Jacob does a great job of getting around.
Absolutely. So, Sean, tell us a little bit about you and your aviation background.
Well, gosh, I was out of aviation for quite a while. I'd gone off and just joined the world. I opened a gym. I was working out, doing my thing, and there was a change somewhere back around 2020. And it just became that having a gym was no longer the thing for me. And somehow I got here. I went to work for an aviation company. I worked there for about a year, and I went home to take care of my parents. My dad was ill, Yeah, and it was really cool. He's the one that got me into aviation. For him to get to see me hang out and interview all of these people has been incredible. So I had a great span where I had no aviation in my background, but as of the last 3 years, I mean, it has been full throttle, heels to the floor, and I'm on every corner. Oshkosh, Sun and Fun. I go to a lot of air shows. I also have the wonderful opportunity to work with Kyle Fowler and Go Easy Aerobatics through my Creative Relay Media company, and working with the only full-time Canadian air show performer is phenomenal. He is one of the best guys on the circuit, just giving me so many great opportunities.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So tell us a little bit about his show and where they can find him, and is he here?
Well, he is here. He's going to be flying the night show tonight. So, and I have it on good authority, if you're watching the night show tonight, that there could be an alien spaceship coming through. So I'm just saying.
You believe in aliens?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Absolutely. And all you have to do is look up.
And you see them. Yeah, they're floating around there. Or is that Starlink? I can't remember.
Oh, well, you know, kind of the same. But, yeah, it's going to be a great show tonight. Kyle has got more pyro than he's ever had, so it's going to be a boom.
Yeah, absolutely. Was he flying last night?
He was flying, not last night. He flew the day show yesterday.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, last night was a cool show. By the way, hats off to everybody here. Dennis Dunbar, especially for putting on this air show, and he's just done a bang-up job here. Doing that part of the air show is really difficult. Actually, the flying part of it, I know Matt Len is shaking his head. Yes, he's been part of that in other air shows, and it's just a privilege to be able to be next to him and listen to everything that's going on there. If you want to become an air show pilot, you can do it. You just got to start today and start practicing. If you're 14, you can do it. It doesn't matter. It's just talent. That's all you need, and a lot of training and a lot of gas through that carburetor. That's for sure. I don't know if you've done much aerobatics, but it's a blast. And I know you flew in a Warbird here.
In times past, a couple of years ago, I flew in a T-34. Yeah, I still do aerobatics. I really enjoy it. And then obviously going through Air Force pilot training, it's like the linchpin of training. So it's got a heavy lean towards aerobatics. In a T6 Texan 2. 1,100 shaft horsepower, and that thing is awesome. The first time I, hit max power and pointing 25 degrees nose up and see the altimeter go like this, it was amazing. It was so much fun.
Yeah, and that actually, it's amazing, too, to get to talk to the people that designed it and then test flying right here at Sun and Fun, which is pretty phenomenal. But, Sean, as far as flying, what's next as far as for you?
Oh gosh, I need to build up a little bit more time. I need to. It's the time versus work. Unfortunately, starting this podcast, I have gotten in so much work that flying has become almost an afterthought. Now we're going to go up tomorrow here at Sun and Fun and do some aerial photography. We're going to do some aerial work, and I'm very stoked about that.
That's cool. Like what kind of aerial photography and what kind of airplane?
We're going to take up we have a Navajo.
Okay.
We're going to take up. Kyle's going to go, and he loves getting up early at air shows. One of his favorite things to do. So we're gonna drag him out of bed, and the weather looks to be great, especially in the morning. Hopefully, we're not going to have that soup. And if it's clear, we're going up. We're going to shoot. We've got a couple of other folks that want to join us.
Yeah, that soup you're talking about, there's a little bit of fog in the morning. One of the things I love about being in Lakeland, especially this time of year, and even throughout the year, and especially in the winter, is the fact that if I have instrument students, we usually can do some actual approaches down to minimums and have to go around because you're not going to be able to see that runway. But that doesn't work well with air shows. So we're going to try to get the fans out and push all that stuff out of here so that we can have a wonderful show. And by the way, if you're listening to this right now, you can also stream it liveatc.net/SNS, also on their YouTube channel. Sun and Fun Radio actually has a YouTube channel now, and you're probably watching it right now. And Sean's on their line right now, and say hello to our folks out there that are listening. And you can watch the Night Air Show too. Right here on Sun and Fun Radio and also on their YouTube channel. It's a little delayed feed, but you get to watch everything out there. A big shout out to Dave Schalbetter for also putting this on. He's been tirelessly working on this radio station for all those years. Like we talked about, they're all volunteers. Dave doesn't get paid to do this. We all don't get paid to do this, and we're here helping our next generation of flight. Because remember that there's events that happen here all year round here on the Sun and Fun campus, and everything here is all in the umbrella of ACE, the Aerospace Center for Excellence, and that is what is the purpose of this. It is not just an air show. It's actually promoting the future of aviation through the podcast and also through direct education. They have a high school here. They have scholarships, the James C. Ray scholarships. They have a flying club out here. a high school flying club, huge high school flying club. I mean, there are so many opportunities for young people to get into aviation. Not just young people, but people like us to figure out what's that next thing in aviation we're going to do. I mean, I've flown for a little while, and I've done a few things, and there's always something else that I can find out, things that I try to imagine and things that I haven't been able to imagine, but I discovered right here on the Sun and Fun campus. Things like the seaplane rating, going out doing any type of aerobatics, finding different things that I never even thought of, like a vertical takeoff and landing vehicle that I actually got to see here at Sun and Fun. Those are the things that I think are wonderful and bring us all together as aviators. But I will say this. My favorite thing about Sun and Fun is this right here. Being able to connect with James, who actually never really got to meet in person till Sun and Fun, and also all the other people that we usually only see here during the event. This is our Sun and Fun family. Like Sean and I, actually, we do see each other now throughout the year every so often, but normally we've only seen each other during this event. We have people that we will only see here at Oshkosh. But what's interesting is the fact that these people come from all over, from all walks of life. We have this common interest that binds us. And at that point, when we get together, we become one family. And that one family is that air show family. And that's what I really love about aviation and about us at Sun and Fun, and the fact that we're really moving that needle and promoting aviation, not just for young folks, but for everybody. And realizing that this is it. Sun and Fun. Aviation, this is something that fulfills a dream and a passion, and that's what life's about. And you have to remember to go out there and enjoy life and have fun, and make sure that no matter what you do, every day try to do something to move forward in your life, in your career, in your flying life. You know, just take that one step every day, whether it's listening to these podcasts, Sun and Fun Radio, on YouTube, etc., talking to Sean, talking to James, and just enjoying the people around you. Well, guys, I really appreciate your coming here, and I appreciate you being live on the deck here at Sun and Fun.